Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? This is No Border Sports. I am No Crypto. My partner Waruna is enjoying some family time, so I've got a special guest, Sue Neal from So Real Sports.
What is up, my man Ryan? I like it, man. You got to make sure this No Border Sports has at least one brown guy on the show, right? So I'm here to fill that brown quota.
There's enough people that look like me on sports.
I love it, man. Well, thank you for having me on the show. I was real impressed with that intro, man. That was the first time I've seen it, so I like it. I need to get
Oh,
me one of
thank you.
those.
Oh, I'm gonna give out my secret, like Canva.
Really?
Yep, I just
Okay,
bought
he's
the
dropping
subscription to
jewels.
Canva.
He's
Yeah,
dropping gems and jewels right now.
my only issue is for some reason there's a part where you can link the copyright to the music to your YouTube account, and for some reason that's not linking up for me, so my videos are getting strikes. But
Oh.
I have something in the works. I might know somebody who makes music and used to be an underground rapper in Seattle back in the day, so might have some original music. Might be
Nice.
trading a nice smoker for some original music.
I love it. I love it.
Yep, yep. So, with that, today we are talking about the 49ers and their this last 2021 season. Well, 2021 and 22, because we made it that far.
Finally,
But
right?
right. But yeah, we wanted to kind of take, look back on the season and kind of, you know, talk about some fond moments, some not so fond moments, some people that, went up and beyond the Call of Duty. And yeah, so with that, let's get into it. So, Neil, who do you think is the most improved player this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, uh, this one by far is going to be Aziz Al Shair. And the reason why, I just think that, he's somebody who came in pretty much under the radar. I don't think anybody was really looking at him as any type of impact player, especially when you have linebackers like, Warner and Dre Greenlaw. And, when Dre got hurt, there was a real big question mark as who's going to step up and who's going to play. Aziz not only stepped up, but there were people thinking that maybe he could replace Dre Greenlaw, right? And when Dre got healthy, that maybe he wasn't going to come just in and be a starter because of how well Aziz played. I mean, his ability to, make plays behind the line of scrimmage, his tackling, his spy on the running backs, like he really, I think, helped the defense in much of the same way how Elijah Mitchell was able to do when Mostert went down. I think Aziz was that important because you didn't miss a beat. And the way that this defense is set up, linebackers have a lot of responsibility when it comes to coverage, when it comes to, run stopping. They pretty much are much like the safeties. They play all over the place and kind of are the erasers for any mistakes that might be there. And I think Aziz really stepped up and proved that he's somebody who I know he's a free agent this offseason. He's somebody who might be out there where a team's looking for him, and hopefully the 49ers could bring him back. If not, tender him with something where they could get some good value. If he does go off in free agency.
Yeah, he's special, and I think he got thrown in the mix, and not only did he survive, but he thrived,
Mm-hmm.
especially that first game he was in. And then like it seemed like not only was the stage not too big for him, it seemed like that he was getting like better and more instinctive at the game. More he played, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which is scary when you're an offense and you've got this guy who's supposed to be the backup and you don't know if he's better than the guy he was replacing, because he just, you might get one thing on him, but he remembers.
Right.
And he puts that mental note in there, and the next time you're not fooling him. So you got him once, but that's the only time you're going to get him on that play the rest of the game. You're not getting him out of place anymore. So he was
Yeah.
crucial. Um, You know, you could almost you could almost take any, I would say you're right with the first place. And I would say, a second would be almost anybody on the second string of that defensive line.
Right.
You know, and the like that all those guys came up with, a couple sacks each. You know what I mean? And the sacks came at pivotal times in games. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They showed up big when they needed to. They were, truly so. I just want to thank all those gentlemen on the D line for having our backs this season and taking care of things. Um,
Yeah, E. Kim put a good one too. Jawan Jennings, he
oh,
definitely, stepped
that's no
up.
lie.
Yeah, so I mean, Jawan Jennings definitely improved, but I think once again, uh, just like Aziz, maybe these guys were just that good. They just never got an opportunity because of the people that were ahead of them. And now, when they got an opportunity, they were able to use a word that you just used, thrive. And yeah, I think that both of these guys are restricted free agents, I think. And 49ers are going to have to make some decisions. I think you try to bring both of these guys back because of the impact that they had, this whole season.
I think you do everything you can to bring them back. Well, obviously, if it's not, taken away from you signing like Debo or Lincoln, you know what I mean? Like those guys, it's to be able to fall back on any one of those gentlemen or have them out on the field at any moment in time. You're feeling a lot better about your situation. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah, and I
almost like
mean,
you can go.
go ahead. I
It's
didn't
almost
mean to
like
cut
you
you
can
off.
just forget about the middle of the field. You know what I mean? Like you just it's taken care of. Every once in a while there's going to be a little something or other, but for the most part, you know what I mean? You can worry about everything else because the middle of that field is covered.
Right. And I mean, Dre Greenlaw is signed through next season, I believe. So he's going to be looking for an extension. And, he might be thinking of, big money because of, he hasn't had that big contract yet because of, where he was drafted. But, if
And
they could bring Aziz back, that would be some good insurance that if for
do you
some
think they
reason
could get a first for Greenlaw?
um, not coming off of the injury, I don't think so. But it'd be interesting how they tender Aziz, because if they tender Aziz with like a second, that might be something that somebody that is maybe a little cap strapped, or is has some extra seconds. There's some weird, like there's some teams that just have a lot of picks, so a second or a third, I don't know. And then I mean, who would the 49ers rather have, Aziz or Greenlaw? I think, the default would be Greenlaw, but maybe there's people that think Aziz has more upside than Greenlaw, or vice versa. I don't know. I don't know enough about that position to really make a decision, but seems like if you could bring both back, that would be ideal.
Yeah. No, you would want to, but I mean like when you've got that much talent there, it's almost, it's a strategic play sometimes to use one as, draft capital. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And it seems like there's certain positions that the 49ers do really well in developing. Linebacker
Yeah.
is one of them. Obviously, running back's another one. So, I mean, and, defensive line seems to be another one. So, those three positions, it seems like you may be able to buy low, sell high, just because the coaching staff and, the philosophy that the 49ers play with seem to just get gems there. So, guys that you're buying at a low, Mitchell at the 6th round draft pick, Aziz, I think I forget what he was drafted as. Um, all those guys on the defensive line.
Yeah.
So it seems like, if you can buy low, sell high, might as well, because you could probably
Because
develop somebody else
so
pretty
there's
quickly.
a lot of cornerbacks in the draft I hear with a lot of talent. So if you could flip Aziz into a first round cornerback, you know what I mean? And then use your second round on, your interior offensive lineman, however you want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
Kim
there's
Kim
things
just
there.
said Aziz is an undrafted free agent, so that would be golden. I mean, any kind of draft capital you get out of him is an upgrade, right? That's just you go from somebody who wasn't drafted at all to getting a second, 3rd round pick. That's going to be key.
and try and find a gem in the fourth, fifth, or the sixth round. You know what I mean? To replace
Right.
them and start. Well, yeah, I'm a fan of finding what works on your team and exploiting that to getting yourself more draft capital from it. That I think any smart team would go out and try and pay for the best coach that is best at taking any player and molding them into a real player and fitting in a scheme, because then you could take anybody and turn them into something and then trade them for something more,
Right.
so big
Yeah,
fan of
and
that. I wish.
you gotta play to your strengths. So, like we said, there's specific positions that the 49ers do really well in drafting or developing, I should say. And linebacker is obviously one of them,
Yeah,
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wasn't thinking about that moving forward, but based off of what you've been saying, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, I think that would be a route that I would go, especially since draft capital is something that the 49ers do need as far, without two first round picks the next couple seasons.
it'd be a way to really top them up, and make them, that much more deadlier in those places where they were lacking.
I don't think that they'd be able to get a first for him though, but maybe a second, maybe a low second or a high third. I think they could maybe pull something off with that.
Or you know what? The 49ers they should only take, like your sixth, your fifths, your sixth, and your sevenths for the next 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because that's
I mean the way they do drafting at those positions, definitely
yeah,
you could get some really good talent there, but you need to where there are weaknesses in where the 49ers draft, one being offensive line, right? They're not very good at drafting offensive linemen, at least this regime. And so
not to mention the first 3 rounds.
right. Now, I mean, I would disagree. I think the first 3 rounds they've done pretty well, but just as far as like offensive line, cornerback, there's places where they haven't hit as much as they'd like to, but in lower rounds with running back, linebacker, you know, defensive line, they're able to develop there. So might as well, you know, compensate for where you're weak at, which is corner, offensive line, drafting those types of positions. Just play what's it called? Just play throw stuff against the wall and hope it sticks. Like how like Belichick does with New England. He just gets a whole bunch of picks, drafts a whole bunch of players, and hopes somebody like turns out to be a stud. So I think that would be ideal. Is second, the higher rounds try to hit on just premier talent, and then lower rounds where you really are skillful. Get those steals in running back, linebacker, defensive line, etc.
Gotcha. What was the biggest disappointment of the season?
Um, this is two pronged for me, man. Biggest disappointment was losing Mostert and Verrett, I would say, in that first game. Both of those I think were players that were expecting big seasons. They had both kept themselves relatively healthy the year before, in a year where, there wasn't much of a chance to do much because of the quarterback play. And I think they were veering up for some big seasons this year. Both of them looked extremely good in the time that they were playing, but unfortunately, both of them having season-ending injuries was just extremely disappointing because what could have been. Obviously, it was great because we got to see some young talent kind of move into those roles and kind of thrive a little bit, but overall, those are the biggest disappointments for me, just because Mostert in that game he was averaging 10 yards per carry. You know what I mean? In the couple opportunities that he had, Verrett was playing lights out. It looked like just before the injury, and yeah, so that was the biggest disappointment because I think the team could have done even more if those two people were healthy throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I shout out to E Kim with his biggest disappointment being Jimmy G. Um, I forgot. I almost forgot about that kind of for a second. You know what I mean? Because it happened first game, and I once you said it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. Feeling gutted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my entrails were just hanging out in front of me, and I was like, well, this is me now. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like there's nothing left to me anymore. And then like I was like, oh, I remember like we had the Green Bay Packers game and that loss right at the end. Like that was gutted because I was like, we're really fucked. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Because like
Right.
if we can't hold on to that, you know what I mean, we're in trouble. That's big time trouble there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and that was a little bit of D'Amico's issue, not only because they were out of position and whatnot, but he didn't call a timeout because he was too scared to get in trouble with Kyle Shanahan.
Right.
And you know, uh, I'm sorry, I've got a job. I was doing something that's part of my job the other day, and I'm kind of new at this, so I explained to him, "Hey, I'm going to need you to take care of this because I don't know about this. Okay, I need you to head this up." Hit a roadblock that could have been done by that, right? Well, not only did I light my my boss's boss up, but my store manager up.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And because I'm not having that because I gave my word, damn it, that I'm here to do something. And if you're not able to say I'm this defensive coordinator, I'm here to win this game because of my defense, you know what I mean? I don't have what I need out on the field. I don't care if you're pissed. I'm here to do my goddamn job, and I'm calling this timeout. You know what I mean? That's one thing that really annoyed me. You know what I mean? He's a man of integrity. We've seen that how he said no to that second interview,
Right.
because he didn't want to be a patsy in their game, which I totally understand and I respect the hell out for it. But you know what I mean? Like, where was your balls then? You got to have balls, okay? I don't
Right.
care. I don't care if Kyle's gonna whine or this or that. But that was you're right. But I think the second was that kid. But there was other gut checks throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I read the question just like we were talking about specific player, but
Oh
if
no
it's
no.
moments, um, yeah, I mean, I'd have to think. I mean, there was some the one thing that I think was, I guess, the thing that sticks out right now is when um, Robbie Gold got injured and they decided to use um, the punter to kick field goals instead of go for
Oh
it
my
on fourth
god.
downs and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think overall, like decision making, sometimes Kyle Shanahan's in what's it called? Uh, I guess hesitancy to be aggressive on like those fourth and ones, fourth and twos. That's
Well, it
something
was
that I think. Go
that
ahead.
one play. It was like 3rd and 10 or third. It was third long definitely,
Yeah.
and you were on like the 35-yard line, and you knew that your kicker had just missed, I believe, a extra point. And you're
Yeah.
talking about this kick is farther than an extra point, and you decide on 3rd and 10 to go for a short little pass. It was like I think it was a 2-yard pass, and then you go, oh well, I didn't get the first down on a 2-yard pass. Better kick it. No, you go for it on third to like try and get like a 4th and 5
Right.
or a 4th and 4 or something. You know what I mean? Something over half. You know what I mean? You take off a little bit more than half, and then you go for the rest of it on fourth because your kicker is not reliable. Like how are we smart enough to see that? And we're sitting here talking opinions on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I think E Kim had a good one too that I overlooked. You know, not being like getting swept by Seattle and Arizona. That's a huge disappointment to not at least split. Um, split those
Oh,
series. That I mean, not get a win against Seattle or Arizona. That is really disappointing as well.
I want to say shout out to Vaughn here. This is a gentleman I might or might not work with. Young handsome man. He's
Hopefully, he
a
wasn't the dude that left you hanging.
no. He's He's an esport gentleman. He gets down with his football. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Nice, man.
Yeah. And he's about to get Jimmy G. And I wonder what do you think about that? What do you think about Jimmy G on the team? Hit me up. I'll put it in the chat, homie.
I think Jimmy's going to Cleveland.
And I'm sorry I cannot pronounce your name. I wish I
Bro,
could.
this is spam, man. Why are you putting this up?
Cause he's on here. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but thanks, homie.
That's funny.
All right, let's move on. Who is your offensive player of the year?
Yeah, so this one's interesting.
Mind you, we've got MVP as a
Yeah.
category. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go with maybe a little bit outside of the box. I'm going with Trent Williams. And I put up a stat on my Twitter. Trent Williams had over 1,100 snaps with the 49ers in the regular season and the playoffs, and he allowed one sack the whole season in those over 1,100 snaps. So there was a lot of talk from commentators and just fans in general whether or not they should have gone out and paid the contract that they paid for Trent. And a lot of people were wondering, hey, maybe you could have done something different with that money. And, there's cheaper options or spent it on a different part of the offensive line. But all of those people, and maybe I was one of them. I don't remember really what I was thinking back then. But if I was one of them, we all needed to shut the fuck up because he deserves every single penny he got. That season is one of the best seasons in any left tackle's career. I guess in any season, he had an epic career, rated number 1 on PFF. Like, he's just the best player at a position that we have on the team, and that's saying a lot because there are a lot of studs on this team. But Trent Williams is the best player at that position in the league, and to have that kind of player on your team. To me, he's the offensive player of the year because not only his play, but that whole offensive line was carried, I think, by him elevating them. Laken Tomlinson played better when Alex Mack started getting his stuff act together. Brunskill, Compton, all these guys, played so much better than we expected. And I think a lot of that has to go with, because of what Trent Williams brought to that. And hey, the defensive line played really well as well. And you probably get a lot better trying to go up against a guy like Trent Williams in practice every single week. Or every single day.
yeah.
So I think he brought a lot to the team. And I mean, that left side was lights out because of him. So to me, he's the offensive player of the year.
And I'll definitely co-sign on that. But I'd say a good runner-up would be Juwan Jennings. He came on late in the year. They were kind of trying to figure out who was going to be number 3. And, it just showed, time after time when, once he got his number, they could call on him and he would deliver. You know what I mean? And then it just became like clockwork. You know what I mean? Like
That's a little bit of a reach, Ryan. I gotta call you on that one. Offensive player of the year, Juwan Jennings. He had a great season, but offensive player of the year.
I said a runner-up.
But even in the top, I don't know if he's even in the top 5, bro. The offensive player of the year
on our team.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In the last half of the last half of the season, he was crucial.
I mean, it's
crucial for us to win games.
It's your show,
no.
But I gotta push back a little bit because I think Juwan Jennings is great, and I don't want to downplay him, but he had some great moments. But when we're talking about offensive player of the year, like, this season wouldn't be the same without this player. And I think Juwan Jennings had his moments and he made some big plays, but that doesn't necessarily mean like this offense wouldn't have been what it was without him. He was great. He's great in the blocking game. I think should come back.
He pissed some people off.
Loved it. Loved it. That energy. I definitely think he's coming back. He looks like one of those guys that Kyle Shanahan loves. And he should
How
definitely
could you not?
go up. But I think, if I wasn't gonna go Trent Williams, it's obviously Elijah Mitchell, right? So that's to
Oh,
me
yeah,
the guy that the only reason why I
good
didn't
call.
pick Elijah Mitchell was
I didn't
because he
even think
missed
about
six
him.
games. Yeah, that's sad. That you picked Juwan Jennings over Elijah Mitchell. Because Elijah Mitchell went his whole rookie season breaking records, but the biggest thing that was the biggest um the most amazing thing about him, he didn't lose a fumble. He didn't fumble the ball at all this whole season, regular season, playoffs. And then I put that up on Twitter. Somebody said he never fumbled the ball in college, Ryan. He's
Yeah,
never fumbled the ball,
he's never fumbled.
which is amazing. So,
That's
to
why
me,
one reason why Kyle got him probably. But
I
hey,
mean, maybe Bobby Turner. I don't know if Kyle saw that, but Bobby Turner definitely saw that.
let's ask Waruna what he thinks.
Jeff Garcia, I know you are not watching, but you are a piece of a shit garbage.
Interesting.
Bro. Yeah. No, I got clips now. We doing this big over here, bro.
I
I
love
got
it.
dude, that Canva, I'm telling you, like, do you see that little video I did about the making the noodles and you pulverize rack of lamb and
I
you see
missed
that?
it.
Oh, check the channel. It's like 1 minute long. It was
All right.
it was like a pre-made ad in Canva. And all
That's
I did
awesome.
was go in and change the letters and then just recorded it and sent it out.
That's awesome.
All right. Defensive player of the year.
How about we say it on 3? 1, 2, 3.
Nick Bosa.
Josh Norman. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, it is Nick Bosa. He could have been defensive player of the league, for the whole, based off of what he did. But definitely for the 49ers, there's not even anybody in the same ozone as him as far as meaning on the defense. And that's saying a lot when you got guys like Jimmy Ward, Fred Warner, Tart, some really, really nice, really big studs there. They don't even come close to the kind of season that Nick Bosa had. And coming off an injury where people were, questioning whether or not he would have the same type of impact, obviously without DeForest Buckner there, D Ford, nobody knew what he was going to say. So a lot of people were thinking, maybe Bosa was this guy because of the type of people that he had on that 2019 line. They were getting numbers because of what Bosa was doing. And, Bosa proved it, having, one of the biggest, sack seasons. I think he did. Didn't he break the record for 49ers as far as the most sacks in a season? I think he did, but
I don't know. I think probably Brian Young might have that. Or no, maybe not. One of the Smiths might have that.
Maybe,
I think
but
Alden Smith might have that.
Yeah, and I thought he broke Alden Smith's record this season, but I'm not sure. But I mean, he definitely is in the top. If not number 1, he's number 2 as far as the amount of sacks he got this season. So definitely Nick Bosa.
So who, if you had to do a second and third, who would you pick?
I think you mentioned one off camera. Eric Armstead, I think, earned every single penny of that big contract that he got. Obviously, the 49ers brass knows a lot more than we did, because I think most people were being like, why would you pick Eric Armstead over, over DeForest Buckner? And, moving Eric Armstead to where he's just focusing on just playing inside, clearly he is much better just focusing playing inside. And I think that, he deserves all of that.
So here's the statistician, Kim. The 2012 season, Alden Smith with 19.5 sacks.
What did Bosa finish off with this season? I forget.
Didn't he have like 18? in the regular season.
I'm looking it up right now.
There was a lot of people who are invisible in that championship game, Kim.
Oh, 15.5. So, and with an extra game, so he definitely missed by, a good amount. But hey,
yeah.
He's on our team now, so in my eyes, it's Bosa.
Well, it's hard to get, 19 and a half sacks when your jersey's being shredded at the sides because people are holding you so much.
Right.
They really need to do something about this new way that offensive linemen can hold defensive linemen, where you can actually keep them totally like perpendicular from your body, not parallel to you at all whatsoever, and still be able to hold them back just as long as they don't turn you in any sort of way. And to me, that's holding. You know what I'm saying?
There's no way they're ever going to change it, man. They're trying to have as much offense as possible, and the biggest way to crush an offense is injure that quarterback. So they don't want these big boys sacking these quarterbacks too much. So they're going to make it extremely difficult for that to happen.
Yeah, but they're not getting wrecked as it is now. You know what I mean? You're not seeing anything bad really right now. The only time you really see anything bad is when the quarterbacks run.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And even then, you're not seeing that as much anymore either.
And, a lot of it is on them and their choices. You know what I'm saying? To not slide. Every once in a while they go to slide.
We about to have a quarter. I said knock on wood because we're about to have a quarterback that might be making some of those choices coming up this next season.
You better be smart about it. You know what I mean? You better be smart about it. There's a reason. But yeah, I don't see many quarterbacks really getting like, look at Russell Wilson. Nobody sacked him. He wasn't missing games because he got sacked. He was missing games that somebody came up the middle. That can happen at any point in time. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Yeah. So Eric Armstead, you got as a second. Obviously Aziz, you know what I mean? He's up there.
The safeties, Tart or Ward, they had big seasons too.
So Ward seemed like he started off strong, and like Tart was trying to get his legs underneath him, you know what I mean? Because he had that turf toe. Mm-hmm. And then it seemed like during the last half of the season, it seemed like Tart was just coming with a full head of steam on people. You know what I mean? Like, He was just looking for heads, bro. I loved it. Yeah. All right. Now, down to the real question. All right. Who do you think the MVP of the 49ers was, Sunil? We're going to say this one on three together?
Should we do it on three?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Tom Compton.
Oh, I thought it was Trent Cannon. Whoa. No, obviously.
The initials were the same.
Right. Great minds, bro. Great minds.
Bro. Look at the hat.
Yeah, I know. Look at the
hoodie. Match. Are we brothers?
Did we just become best friends?
Did that just happen?
I think it is obviously Debo, right? This whole season, Debo put the whole team, the whole offense on their back. This win streak that carried them into the playoffs and all the way to the NFC Championship game was because of that change that Shanahan made and put the ball into Debo's hands on every single level. Debo was our best running back. He was our best wide receiver. He was our best quarterback in one game. So like he was everything. I don't know if you remember. And maybe your boy might know this real old BJ. Back Pittsburgh had a quarterback by the name of they used to nickname him Cordell Stewart, nickname him Slash.
Cordell Stewart, yeah.
Yeah, and they had him throwing the ball, they had him punting the ball. I remember they had him, doing all kinds of stuff. He was
returning. He was wide receiver.
Yep, they called him Slash, and I think Debo is like the new Slash, where he's everything for that offense, and he's gonna deserve every single penny he gets in this extension this offseason. And I'm just glad he's gonna be a 49er for a very long time.
Yes. Yeah. Well, like who else? No one else stands out on the team that could really.
I mean, he's definitely up there. I mean, Ekim says Bosa. Bosa could definitely have been the MVP. I think Elijah Mitchell would probably get a vote here or there. Obviously Mitch Wishnowsky. I don't know, like, I mean, obviously there's people that are head over heels. Bosa's one of them. I think Trent Williams, Bosa, or Debo or Mitchell. Those are probably the four. Out of those four, whomever you pick, I guess.
So like, Devon here said that he said Chase when we said offensive player of the year because he didn't know it was a 49ers focused show. But when he saw this, I thought, wait, you think Chase is and not Debo? Like they're just now trying to use Chase like Debo. You know what I mean? Like how are you gonna pick a person?
Who's the Chase he's talking about?
I think Jamar Chase from the Bengals.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think he's light. He's like Debo light, right? Jamar Chase, Debo light.
Yeah, I would say
that's like diet Debo.
Yeah, he doesn't have that bully side to him. He's quick, Instead of slash, he's flash. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, he's talking Chase Claypool. That's what I thought because I was trying to figure out what he's talking only specifically Pittsburgh, and he was talking Chase Claypool. Oh, you can put that. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought.
Yeah, you can put that. It could be. He could have been talking about Chase Claypool, but that's love you, Devon. Just saying. Both, yeah. Oh, look at this. Jimmy what? Ekim? Which Jimmy?
Ward. It's gotta be.
Which Jimmy? Trying to get banned? I'm joking. Who's the best coach on the season this year? Who do you think stood out?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I was a big fan of D'Amico in the offseason. I thought he was going to be seamless transition because of the type of player he was, as the middle linebacker for some great defenses in Houston, as well as with the Eagles. And I just thought because of the type of man he is, the type of character he has, his football IQ, the type of relationship he's been building with the players on the team, and just everything you heard about him as from the players as far as how much they loved him. I thought he was going to do great. He exceeded what my expectations were of him. He didn't make the same mistake more than one game in a row. And I think it was shown. You talked about that Green Bay game in Week 3 being on D'Amico Ryans, and it was not only that decision to not call the timeout, but just the game overall was probably his worst called game in the whole season. And then you look full circle, the divisional game against Green Bay, he all of a sudden, it was a completely different defense, and holding Aaron Rodgers to one touchdown in Lambeau in a playoffs, that's saying something about somebody who is willing to fix themselves. And I think for me, he's by far the coach of the season.
And it's not even necessarily the willing to fix yourself, because you could be willing to fix yourself and not have the answer in you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And true. He has the answers in him. You know what I mean? Which is what any successful anybody needs. You know what I mean? They need to be able to stand in there when it's tough and deal with everything, take all the blows, come back, regroup, figure out what went wrong, put a plan in for next time, start thinking about other things that could happen because you don't want to look silly like that again. And then the next time the shit hits the fan, guess what? you're prepared. You're sitting back smiling like, man, this is only plan B. I got C, D, E, and F. Don't worry, this handled.
I love it.
Yeah. No, now, maybe we should talk about this because we're talking about coaches. This whole Embry firing. What do
Uh-huh.
you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, the headlines don't look good, right? I mean, as far as what it looked like, but then, I don't know if I don't have enough of the details to really make a decision. I mean, if they offered him to take, they're like, you could stay here, but you have to take a 60%, pay cut, I think is what I read. Doesn't look good. I mean, clearly right now with what's going on with Brian Flores and, the suit against the NFL, with race being such a big issue in society, obviously it's going to make headline news. I personally don't know if this happens all the time, even to white coaches. If it did happen to a white coach, I don't think it's going to be, making the news as much. But I
Well,
tend to think that the 49ers have done a really good job bringing diversity to their team as far as in the coaching staff. We've had, black head coaches before. A lot of our support staff is black coaches, and they just hired, Anthony Lynn as an
yeah,
assistant head coach, as
to
well. So
fill
maybe,
essentially the position. Yeah.
and
So
maybe that was played a role because Anthony Lynn is obviously a big name. He just came off of being a head coach, so maybe they needed some money to throw his way, and they were trying to cut it. They probably, I don't know. I don't know enough to just because I know
you,
right now the thing is it's racism. You know what I mean? And maybe it is, but
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
this is. How do you racistly fire one black man to non-racistly hire another? You
Right.
know, you know. So that doesn't that the what really gets me is the take the cut or you're fired. You know what I mean? And not only that, but you're talking about one of your star players' favorite coaches who he talks up about all the time. So not only, we don't know what's going on, but if there's some good reason why, let's say he said something, okay? And some, a portion of the locker room feels that what he said was true, and now he's getting a 60% pay cut for, and when you don't take it, you get fired. That could be something that could be really, really big. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but who knows what the truth is what I'm saying. Like
The locker
one
room
thing,
does.
no, I'm saying as far as these articles, what we're hearing, right? I
No,
don't
no,
know.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know what is being said. I don't know what's being reported. Personally, I just saw a headline. I tried to look
Yeah.
for an actual article. There wasn't really an article in there. It was just people were posting this headline and this meme. So I haven't read enough, to be honest, Ryan. I don't know if you've read more about what actually happened or if it's just hearsay. One thing that I have learned is some like just because it's out and it's in writing with the NFL doesn't make it true. I've learned a lot that some of these
No,
NFL
no,
reporters make up a lot of stuff. They twist the truth. They try
no,
to
no.
just
I,
because they're
I,
just trying to get clicks and stuff. So to
I
me,
get you.
it seems out of character for this regime specifically to treat anybody this way. Let other without the name Jimmy Garoppolo by it. Every other player, coach seems to have nothing but great things to say about this organization. So it seems a little out of character. Not saying that it's not true, but it just doesn't fit with how I've seen this regime the last 5 years.
I totally get that. That's why it seems so shocking because, like, look, let's say you get your boss's job, right? He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make double what you do a year, for the most part. Well, who knows? In some places they might, but your immediate boss, he doesn't make double what you do a year. So when you get that position, then you get bumped back down. That's a big cut. You're talking about you've got, you know, people are making million plus dollars a year on that coaching staff. You know what I mean? Coach Kraseric and all that, right?
Right.
You got Embry in there, right? Who was your assistant head coach or your backup head coach or whatnot, right? Assistant head coach. Okay, so you could knock him down to $1 million, right? Because you're paying for his, yes, he's getting paid more than a normal position coach, but you still have all that knowledge of, being able to fall back on his, him being the assistant head coach, you know what I mean? Being able to do all this. Was there, the only thing that makes sense is there was going to be either he said something that was too real for somebody, or he was going to be like he couldn't work with who's I'm blanking on the man who's just hired.
Anthony Lynn.
Yeah, yeah, maybe he couldn't work. That's the only thing that really makes sense, and that is some juicy dirt at the end of it, because with how this organization works, why wouldn't they have worked with somebody, been like, hey, okay, maybe you're used to this money, okay, so maybe we'll knock you down to 70% of pay, and then it'll go to 60% of the pay. We'll get you down there, within a couple years, but we won't just shock.
But
it's not
has
like
it
they're
been
hurting.
but has it been proven that it's a true story? Has he said anything? Has anybody of I guess a high reputation been talking about this story, or is it just this one thing that came out from some no-name person? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know enough,
Yeah.
but people are running with it like it's fact and it's gospel. But I think it would be a bigger story if it was really true, is what I'm thinking. And I haven't seen it as a huge story. It's not being picked, especially with what's going on with Brian Flores right now and all this kind of stuff. If this was absolutely true, you would think that this would be on the front page of ESPN and Fox
It could
Sports
be
and all that kind of
true.
stuff.
It could be true, but not as sensational as racism. You know
Well,
what I'm
no,
saying?
I'm just saying in general, right now,
Because
that
we know that
people,
there's
what I'm
definitely racism in the league.
I know that, but what I'm saying is that, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this story would be picked up everywhere because of it fits all of those things that the mainstream media is going to want to talk about, and ESPN is going to want to do segments on and all this kind of stuff. The fact that it
Tugs on the
hasn't blown up,
heartstrings.
yeah, for the fact that it isn't super blown up yet, I'm wondering how true it is, because there is something, like, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know enough to say it is or not, but do you know, have you done research into seeing who's reporting this, and have players
No,
said
I just
anything?
been hearing everybody talk about it, other than, like I think one of the NFL shows, I think, the bigger people were talking and mentioned it. I'll do some research.
Yeah,
I'll
because
look
I
into
mean,
it.
the problem is people talking about it makes people think that it's fact, but people talk about it just because people talk. You know what I mean? It's fun to talk about. So yeah, I mean, I just don't want to be victim to just something that may not even be true. Because, like I said, if it is true, and look, I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm saying if it is true, it is completely 180 from what we've seen from this regime. You know what I mean? They've gone out of their way to pay players that aren't even playing, like a guy like D4. They've gone out of their way to keep people on the roster that are injured the whole time. Like they did that with Jarrett McKinnon. Like gone out of their way to keep guys in that even though they're suspended for all the season. They did that with Jordan Willis. So all of a sudden now they're gonna
Jalen Hurd.
Jalen Hurd, right? So all of a sudden
You got a
now,
spot.
they're gonna go cheap with a really, really good coach that has done nothing.
This is what makes no sense.
But maybe if it makes no sense, Ryan, it's not true. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like that's what I'm trying to say. So until I do a little bit more research, or until I see, like, maybe Kittle come out, or this guy come out and do an interview, or somebody that, like Adam Schefter, or these type of guys talk about it, then maybe it'll be a little bit more like, okay, I could believe this because these guys are saying it. But as of now, it just seems like it's just local news, and it might just be clickbait. You know what I mean?
Okay, so Baller brings this up, and this was a question I had, and I heard other people, or I felt the same way about this, and I heard other people talking, but also the feeling the same way. Do you feel that an owner that pays somebody to lose a game should not be an owner anymore and should lose their team?
1,000%.
Yeah. I think
I
it
mean,
goes
that's
against the
just
morals of the sport.
not only against the morals of the sport, but how could that fan base still pay? Because look, going to a football game, supporting a team is extremely expensive these days, right? You know,
Yeah.
the games are not cheap. You to go into a game, you got to pay for parking, you got to pay for food, you got to pay for drinks, you got to. So it's an event, and usually you're not going to a game by yourself. You're taking your kids, you're taking your spouses, you're going with your friends, and all this kind of stuff. So to cheer for it, to be a fan and buy the merch and all this kind of stuff, to have your owner pay money, the money that they're getting from you to lose is, I think, a huge betrayal. And I mean, I just don't understand how, and once again, this is alleged, right? Brian Flores does seem like a credible guy, but it is alleged, right? We still have to see the reports, we still have to see the proof and all this kind of stuff. But if it does come out and proven that this owner up in Miami was offering the money and doing this type of stuff, yeah, I mean, if I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, I'm trying to return my jersey real quick and maybe choosing a different team.
Yeah. E. Kim brings up a great point. This is the other thing I thought immediately too, is you're talking about everybody that gambles on the games. You know what I mean? You're, and that's a lot. And those people don't want to be losing no money. They're not very happy afterwards, which, that's why you shouldn't gamble with money that you're not willing to lose, people, just so you
Right.
know. And the integrity of throwing it. Yeah, it's totally. What's next? What you're gonna try and cheat to win them too? Once you
Well,
collected
well,
all the
well, Bill Belichick is like, hold my beer with that one, right?
yeah, right. Let's see. Okay. I don't really have a banner for this, but I had a question. I got a question. Do you think it's more important that the Niners nail the free agency market or the draft? What do you think is more beneficial for our needs?
I mean,
It's hard because they need to do both, but
yeah, I mean that's
you know,
obviously it's both, but I'm saying I think it depends on the grouping, and I'll answer it like this, Ryan. And if you think it's a cop out, whatever. But there's certain positions that the 49ers do really really well in the draft with, namely linebacker, running back, and defensive line late in the draft and stuff like that. There's positions that they don't do very well with, namely offensive line. So I would much rather them nail free agency when it comes to the offensive line and nail the draft when it comes to running back depth, linebacker depth, and defensive line depth, right? So maybe go out in free agency where they're not very good at picking the right type of people in the offensive line, and maybe go out and get a veteran uh, in the secondary because you already have two young guys in Ambry Thomas and Lenore that have shown flashes. Maybe bring in some veteran help there and spend a little bit more in free agency to bring a good veteran there for the secondary and maybe draft like a good safety. You know what I mean? So I think it's more like picking where you can have the right mesh of young and experience together. So that's how I'm answering the question. Like I think that offensive line, I would really like them to re-sign Laken Tomlinson and maybe go out and get a guard or somebody like that rather than trying to get one through the draft just because they're terrible. I mean, they're not very good, at least this regime, with picking offensive linemen. So who are we to say that they pick another one and it's going to be a good choice, right? The last offensive lineman they picked in Aaron Banks didn't even make the field at all this season. So
let's say 49ers somehow come up with 2 second-round picks. What do you use them on?
I'm gonna just completely contradict myself, but you gotta go. You gotta go in interior offensive line slash, center and corner, because those are the biggest needs for the 49ers. But
Would you, if you had 2 seconds, would you try and maneuver the 2 seconds to grab a first, maybe grab your cornerback with that, and then turn around and free agent your lineman that you want so much? Or would you still be trying to go like use your third rounder for your lineman then at that point?
look, our best linemen are, who would you say our best linemen are?
Well, you've got Trent Williams and you got Lincoln Tomlinson, and then it would be Mac, and
And where
then
did we draft any of those players?
no, but you
Right,
said this is what
right,
you would do and you would draft him.
right.
So
So
I'm
that's
wondering
what I'm saying. But
if you were to
obviously you
move
can't
up.
just keep getting old. You got to have some young talent there. But that's where my thought process comes from. Is like, I would much rather them use that talent on stuff that they've hit on. I don't know. I'm contradicting myself all over the place, Ryan. So this is probably
We
a
got
terrible
Alfredo
answer.
Gutierrez. We're good. We're set forever, bruh.
Yeah. So I mean,
I'm
that's why
so
that's what I'm
stoked he's
saying.
coming
Like
back.
I just think that they could pick and choose where they focus their free agency, pick and choose where they focus their draft.
All right. And with that, I think we should. It's been a great show. I think we should wrap up here. I mean, I think you got something to do. I want to thank Barry a Baller for coming out. E Kim always been here. This is the second bot we've had. I mean, I want to thank both of them. And I want to thank my guest, So Real Sunil.
Yeah, man. And if you guys are up for it, everybody that's there, I'm gonna be on my channel in about a half an hour with Jesse Naylor. Um, and we're gonna be talking some interesting topics, to say the least. So, well, we would love all of you guys to join. Definitely, Ryan. Thank you guys for the invitation. I love this channel, and I'm coming on anytime you guys need me.
Yeah, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. In fact, you'll see me in about 30 minutes in the chat.
I love it. Cool.
All
Well, you
right.
guys have a good night.
Do you want to tell them where they can find you? Real quick, plug it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's my channel is called So Real Sports Talk. The channel name is So Real Sports Talk TV. If you look it up on in YouTube, or my Twitter handle right there is So Real Sunil. You can just go to that. It's in the link in my bio. But So Real Sports Talk TV. Please subscribe, like, putting out consistent content again. We show out everybody in the chat. So, come through, ask some questions, make your comments heard. And we're gonna just keep extending this fun, right, Ryan?
Oh yeah, and Jesse's always a good person to talk with. Jesse's smart, he's entertaining, you know what I mean? He's a good dude, all around plus.
I love it.
All right. So, everybody have a wonderful night, and with that, I bid you adieu.